Today we're going to look at creating a customized report. I have a project open called a stick cylinder replacement and two WBS line items. In this project, the stick cylinder repair existing cylinder, replace with a new cylinder. We have very minimal activities. On the comments in the notebooks, we have different comments for the different tasks. We have a scope topic, comments topic, anything I want to add here, the scope, any kind of notes on the expenses. I've included the actual expenses for the specific activity, and they're entered as a budgeted cost. So we have a descriptor for an expense item and a budgeted cost. That's all we're concerned about at this point. In each WBS, we have a start milestone, a finish milestone, a start milestone, a finish milestone, and they will track with your current data date. This comparison will compare how long in calendar days each process will take and the cost. We can look right here and say that repair existing cylinder, $5,300. And will take approximately 15 days, calendar days. Replacing with a new cylinder due to the shipping, a vendor stock order new. Vendor can stock order with a 3-week time frame. So it'll take 3 weeks to get here. So it does increase the length of time. The new cylinder does cost more. You can see the total cost for this one and the time, 26 calendar days. So if you have time, the new one is more expensive, but including additional pieces of information, machine work on the parts, there's unknown things that can affect this. So I want to create a report that's customized. We're going to start with the report wizard. So tools, report wizard. Cancel. I want to use the current screen. We're going to pick one of our activities and go tools, report wizard, use current screen. You need to be on one of your activities to get this option. Next, subject area, obviously activities. Things that I want to include on my report. I want to see the activities, I want to see activity notebook, and I want to see project expenses. Next, let's look at our columns for activities. I don't actually need start date because I'm going to let this float until it's actually done, or I may never use it. I want to see the original duration, which is going to show each block of work, how many calendar days it's going to take, and I want to see the budgeted expense cost. Within the activity notebook, I want to see the topic and the description. Over here, topic would be comments, description would be the actual typed information. So that's okay. Project expenses. Expense category. I don't need to see that. I don't need to see the WBS, the cost account, or the vendor. They were not set up. What I do need to see is the expense description, which is this expense item, and the budgeted cost. So I'm going to add that. Tell it OK. Next, report title. Cylinder repair estimate with time. Next, let's preview it. While we're in the report wizard, we're set up to be portrait printing. There's 2 pages. The WBS defaults to a yellow font, which we will change. I have my durations. I have my costs. These are subtotals for the individual WBS. There again, the second WBS, its subtotal. And this is the overall project subtotal. So I'm going to close this window. I'm going to go next. I want to save the report. The report was saved as cylinder repair estimate with time. Okay, there you go. I need to go to my reports now and modify the actual report. Cylinder repair estimate with time. You can see there is no run date because I have not ran the report from here. I've only defined it in a wizard and ran it. But now I want a little more control over the modification. So right click, modify. This message just tells you that you created this with the report wizard, and anything you do to it now, the report wizard isn't really going to like that. But we don't care. So modify. Make this a full screen. The important thing to see here, you have a label, notebook topic. This is a label that says notebook topic. This is the actual corresponding data field. So this label will say notebook topic, and whatever the topic is will show in this space. Same with notebook description. You see the little D means it's a data field. The C means it's a caption or label. Well, let's start with the yellow font. Single left click, right click, and properties is one way to get here. Another way to get here is pick the field you want and choose this, properties. Takes you to the same place. All right. Activities by WBS. This does not have anything that says custom text, but this activity name does. I'm going to go back here. We're going to change the yellow, custom font. I would like this to be blue, and I would also like it to be bigger. I want to draw attention to it, so I'm going to make it a 16 size. WBS and name. Our subtotals only show here on this report. There again, I want them to stand out. I'm going to make our subtotals red and a 14 size. You cannot multiple select and change, just individually. Red, 14, okay. And finally the last one, custom font, red, 14, okay. I'm going to close this. We have a print preview from this window right here. If you hover over any of these, it will show you what they are. Now I can read this a whole lot easier. My subtotal, my cost. Subtotal and cost. There again, this second subtotal here is the overall project. Both start dates start on the same date, so this number just reflects the calendar days for the longest section. All right. So, what else do we want to change? Well, it looks like we don't need WBS and activity name. I don't need the two labels. Activity name, I need the data field, but not the label. So we're going to go take care of those two things. This is the WBS label, and I'm going to delete it. This is the activity name label, activity name data field. I don't want the activity name label, but I do actually want the data field. Now that I've deleted those things, these are blank lines. If you select a line, a complete line, in between here, if I right click and delete this, it will kill everything in the line. Don't want to do that. But these are empty, just blank lines that I don't need. Right click and delete. They just take up white space on my report. Let's go preview that and see what happened. So WBS, these two labels are gone, activity name and WBS. I want the original duration to say calendar duration. I want it clear that these are calendar days and not work effort. There again, original duration. This is a label. This is the data. So this is the one I want to change. Right click, properties, custom text is the actual name of the label. CALENDAR, calendar. And now I need to delete the L, calendar duration. Let's go preview it. Calendar duration. You can see it wraps text. That's data field width and label width. We have our text wrapping. Still have some real estate here, and we will mess with that in a little bit. Not looking too bad. You could create a filter to only pick activities that are task or level of effort. You can restrict what is shown here to exclude milestones if you'd like. If you'd like to only see milestones, you can do that too. And those are accomplished with filters. The name of my report was picked up and displays here. You can also change that. If I select this, absolutely nothing is selected, no data field here, and choose properties. This is the report properties overall. You can see the actual name of the report here. You can change this title so that you have a saved report in your report list with one name and this title with another. So let's look at the activity name properties and explain this. Left is where this field, whether it's a data field or a label, it's where it starts from the edge of the page. It's our margin. At this point it's a half an inch, 0.5. The width of the label is 4 inches. It's kind of wide. We don't really need it to be 4 inches wide. I'm going to make that 3. What I've done now is this edge is 3.5 inches in. It is our ½ inch of margin and then 3 inches of space. Original duration, I don't want that to actually wrap. Left is where it starts. I know that we're 3.5 right there. So at 4 inches, I'll be a ½ inch away. I'll make it about 1.75, an inch and 3/4. You can have fields overlap and use left justify and right justify on the different fields to get them where you want them. So this one started at 4 and it's 1.75. So at 5.75 is where it starts. 5.71. Let's go to 5.75 and increase the width so that we don't have to wrap text to 2 inches. If you fall off the edge of the paper, you'll see it. You can drag these and move them around manually. I find it much easier to use actual typed numbers. It's more exact. So a word on rows. This particular row occupies this particular space on the report. So I moved these across and gave them spacing. You can see the calendar duration is a bit offset. This one is offset, and they're still not single line item. They did not wrap their text, and I'm going to show you why. Up here, these are the labels. All we changed was the data field. So all I need to do now is change the label to match the data field. Right-click in Properties. 4 and 1.75. Change this to 4 and this to 1.75. Come and look at this one. 5.75 and 2. Come here. 5.75 and a width of 2. When I preview my report now, you're going to see that they line up. Calendar duration is now a single line. Budgeted expense cost is a single line. The text is not wrapped, and they occupy the same space on the report, but it's only this line. Notebook topic and notebook description are the same thing. You have a left and a width. When I increase the width of the notebook description, it's going to actually spread out across the page and shorten up the space occupied, the effects of text wrapping. And we'll go do that now. See if we can't get it down. So this is the label. The label doesn't get any wider, so I'm not as concerned about it. The data for the notebook description. Properties. It starts at 2.23. We're going to make that 2.25, which is 1/4 or 2 1/4 inches, just because we like things like that. The width. So if you add these two and you do not exceed 8, you'll still be on the page. So this is 6. So if I go to 5.5, we will be at 7.75. Almost to the edge of the paper. You could also get your resize bar and just drag this. Look at this upper bar, you can see what the data field actually covers. I can take it clear to the edge. I'm going to right click it, choose Properties, and it will tell you it's 2.7 or 5.73 in width. It does not change the left, but it does change the width number. Preview. You can see our text now goes all the way to the edge of the page. In just visual presentation, that's kind of hard on the eyes. I want to shorten that up by about 1 inch. I can grab this, watch my upper bar until I hit 7, and let go of it, and preview it. That's easier on the eyes. It keeps it away from this total. We have an extra line in there, not really a big deal. Looks kind of easy on the eyes. Budgeted cost and air freight is kind of cumbersome here. Budgeted cost should be stretched out so it's not wrapped. Maybe give it a little spacing, get it over here in this area. There again, with expense item and budgeted cost, these are our labels. These are our data fields, and they occupy the full width of the sheet of paper. Let's look at this first. Properties. Left needs to move. I have available all the way to 8. That would be too far away. It's at 2.65 currently, so let's change it to be 3.5 inches. On the left, the width needs to get wider to not wrap the text. If the might as well make it 1.5. I have no other data fields in there. I can click on it and see it again, 3.5 and 1.5. Set the data to the same thing. 3.5 with a width of 1.5. Right justified on both of those. You can change the justification and see what kind of an effect it has. Let's preview our report. So now, and shop supplies, expense items, looks like it's wrapping text too. Let's go take care of that. And we do that in the same way. Expense item label, data field. Now, I can scoot both of these over. the budgeted cost columns if I need to. But let's try to make this fit. We'll leave the 0.5 because it's the first edge of the paper. And we'll make this 3. You can see that this one starts at 3.5. We are going to make our width 3. It actually matched up here because we're making the width of the cell 3 and our margin is 0.5. This starts at 3.5. So they actually line up. Let's have a look. We're dealing with expense items. We have single lines. You do this so that you don't make your report unnecessarily long. You want it to be visually pleasing. Looks pretty good. Budget expense costs were single lines. These expense items don't subtotal here, but they are a total here. Now at this point, the report is completely acceptable for what it needs to have. None of the changes I've made have been saved. To do that, I need to hit this X. Would you like to save changes to this report? And tell it yes. All right. Right-click the report again and modify. And all of the changes I made have been saved. This is important in that if you delete something, I come here, right-click, delete, and I go, yes. Oh my God, I didn't want to do that. Because I come here, now this header line is gone. Oh man, I just screwed up my report. It's not a big deal. Close this report. Do you want to save the changes? And tell it no. Go back to your report. Choose modify. Preview. And you'll see that the expense item and budgeted cost, this line that I deleted last time, is still there. It's because it did not save the changes until I exited and told it to save the changes. All right. I haven't made any changes, so I'm going to tell it no. We're going to right-click and run our report. Print preview. Okay. Here's our report. The only problem I have now is that this second subtotal line at the end of the report reflects the cost combined. Both WBSs are totaled here. And I don't want to see that. Now I can write a filter or create a filter that gives me just this on the report, this single WBS, and then another one, second report, that gives me just this WBS. I can restrict them using filters. Print them to a PDF, combine both PDFs, and have a 2-page report that have individual totals. That would take a long time. So what I'm going to do now is print this total report for what it is. It's simply an estimate, a comparison. I'm going to create a PDF, and I'm going to call it Estimate Test. Yeah, let's do Estimate Test. Save. Yes, I'll replace it. It's just a dummy file that I've created. Within Adobe, I now have my report. It's everything I want on it except that single line item. The fastest way to get rid of it, Tools, Comments, Text Box Tool. I'm going to draw a text box over this. It's the upper left corner and the lower right corner. Now it's blinking, waiting for me to type. See, I can type. Okay. But I don't want anything in this. I'm going to click off of the box, go back to where I know the box is, and click. There it is. Now I can position it where I want it. Right-click, choose Properties, The fill color, this means transparent. Click that little box and tell it white. And it's magically gone. When I click here, you can't see the box. Zoom back out of it. So now what I've got is my 2-page report that only has totals for each WBS. The overall project total has been erased. And from here I can print it. Hit save, done. Hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Fun with reports. This is Primavera P6 version 8.2.